Tuesday, October the 7th, regular meeting of the Universal City Council. Quorum check, please.
Mayor Fitzpatrick.
Here.
Councilmember Goolsby.
Here.
Councilmember Putt.
Fresh from the patch.
Councilmember Rubal.
Here.
Councilmember Shelby.
Here.
Councilmember Vaughan.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Great. Invocation tonight is by Mr. Goolsby, and I'll send the pledge.
Y'all bow. Lord, we want to thank you for everything that you've given us. Everything from the beautiful weather to our health to each other. Lord, tonight as we talk and discuss items that pertain to our city and our citizens, help us to understand each other's perspective, Lord. We know that sometimes we cannot see what the other person sees. We have not all walked in each other's footsteps. Lord, help us to at least learn to understand and respect each other's footsteps. Lord, we ask that you be with our military and first responders and their families, give them safety and comfort. Lord, help our officials in Washington. I'd like to say some choice things, but I'm going to just say, come together.
Amen.
Lord, thank you for all that you've given us. In your name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Be seated. First up is citizens to be heard at this time. The public is invited to address the presiding official and the council and speak on any matter not specifically listed in tonight's agenda. First up is Mr. Carlos
De La Cruz, sir.
De La Cruz.
Thank you very much. Good evening. My name is Carlos De La Cruz. I'm a husband, a father, and I'm also running for Congress. I came here today to address a matter of the highest national urgency that affects every one of us. And that is what's happening to our young people. I believe that the assassination of Charlie Kirk was more than a tragedy. It was a warning of deeper divisions. Before my wife and I opened a kickboxing gym in San Antonio, I served 20 years in the Air Force, including deployments to hostile zones after 9/11 and along our southern border. I know a threat when I see one, and I'm deeply troubled by what our youth are facing. They're growing up in a culture that tells them to question their own worth and to turn away from the institutions that give life meaning, like faith, family, and community. I know these challenges aren't easy, but if we keep ignoring this crisis, we'll lose much more than our country. We're going to lose our economy, we're going to lose border security, and we're going to lose safe communities. And we'll lose our children, and with them, the nation. I've seen firsthand the difference that discipline, faith, and mentorship can make. And I want our young people to know three things. Your life matters, God has a plan for you, and your country needs you. Every parent wants their child to inherit a nation stronger than the one we found. That's why I'm running for Congress. I hope you'll join me in this mission. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Del Cruz, and good luck on your run.
Thanks.
Second up is, is it Milton Frank?
Fields?
Me? Phil?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's you.
I think we're going to wait until then. I apologize, Mayor.
That's all right. You can do
Oh,
him
okay, I'm
now,
sorry.
sir, or if you,
No, I've got
you
it.
can do him under my city manager.
Yeah, I've got him under the city manager. I'm sorry, Tony.
We can do it.
Okay, so that's my apology. I'll get you to the city manager. No, I'm gonna get you to the city manager. That way I'm not gonna restrict you to 3 minutes.
I appreciate it.
I'm gonna give you 4.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, that is all of the citizens to be heard, and we'll move on with the staff report, city manager report.
Yes, sir. At this time, I would like to go ahead and yield my time to Dr. Fields, superintendent for the Judson Independent School District. They're here to talk about the election that's coming up in November and its impact upon not only the Judson School District, but all of the school districts that are going out to raise their tax rate through the later program. So I will go ahead and yield to you, and Maribel's got your presentation. When you want the next slide, just say next slide and we'll get that for you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor Maxwell, City Councilman. Thank you guys so much for allowing us to come over. We had the pleasure of speaking with Mayor Maxwell in this turn the other day at the coffee with the superintendent. So we wanted to come by and just explain to the council about our voter approval tax rate election that's coming up and the different aspects. Approval of the beta would bring about $21 million to the district, allowing us to possibly balance the budget within a year. And there are several aspects that go along with that in terms of the tax rate. We have our CFO here, Mr. Tony Kingman, so I don't want to steal his thunder. I'm going to let him come up and speak and then come back and answer any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Phil. Good evening, the City Council, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you guys today. If we move to the second slide, and we will go through this slide very quick and very simple. So, in terms of the public school, we get funded by two main sources. The first one is from the local property taxes, and the second one is the state funding. And as you know, in the recent year, the funding from the state has been restricted, and a lot of program has been underfunded. So for that reason, we have to look at the local property taxes to try to make up the differences. And as you know, the inflation and also the cost of living has been increased in the last couple of years. It's also contributed to the difficulty in terms of maintaining a balanced budget. Next slide, please. So just like Dr. Phil said, the VADA stands for the Voter Approved Tax Rate Election. So this particular election will increase the maintenance and operation funding, which basically cover the daily operation, the compensation for teacher and staff and things like that. It's different than a bond, which basically fund for facility and major project. Now the VADA, it doesn't create new debt to the district. It's basically increasing the revenue for the district. So next slide, please. So in 25-26, on November 4th, what's going on in the ballot is basically a tax rate increase of 4.5 cents compared to the prior year. So as you can see, the M&O side, which is the maintenance and operation that I explained before, which go into the compensation and daily operation, that particular tax rate will go up by 6.5 cents. The other one, which is the INS, which basically used to pay off the debt from the bond, that particular tax rate, because of the management of the district, that particular tax rate will go down by 2 cents. So if you do the 6.5 cents minus 2 cents, that is how you get to the 4.5 cent increase from last year in terms of the tax rate for just an ISD. Next slide, please. So here you can see the historical trend from just an ISD tax rate. As you can see, we have been decreasing our tax rate since 2018, 2019, and has been maintaining a stable tax rate of 1.0346 for the last 2 years. If the VADA passes, it will bring an additional $21 million annually to the district. And the funding can help maintaining programs, services for students, and remain competitive in teacher and staff pay. Next slide, please. So as you can see, last year with the tax rate of 1.03, Justin is nowhere near the top of the tax rate in Bear County. So if you can see, the Hallandale ISD has a largest tax rate of 1.26, and if you go down, you can see that Justin is toward the bottom of the tax rate compared to other districts at 1.03. The next slide, please. So the priorities for the funding. The $21 million additional revenue would provide to the district each year, and the fund would be used to the academic student programs and high-quality support services for our students, such as social-emotional learning, special education, dyslexia, and gifted and talented. And also, we will spend the money to support the compensation to recruit and to retain teacher and staff. Next slide, please. So, as you can recall, in 2022, just as this passed a bond. So, as I mentioned it, the bond is used for facility and assets, which including construction, renovation, technology, school bus, and property. And the funding from bond may not be used for employee compensation, including raises or daily operation. And that's the reason why in 2025, we go back to ask the voter for the VADA to address the other side, daily operation side. Next slide, please. So where are we financially? So Justin ISD is projected a budget shortfall of around 32 million, and with a 5 million of one-time cost, it would increase to 37 million for this particular year. Passing the VADA would bring about 21 million additional annual revenue to help reduce the gap. If the VADA does not pass, the district will still face a full $37 million deficit, and will have to make some very, very difficult decisions to address the deficit, such as reevaluating staffing model across multiple areas of the district, or reevaluate student programs. Next slide, please. So what has been done to reduce the deficit? Justin ISD has taken significant steps to reduce the cost, including freezing administrative salaries, scale back programs such as pre-K3, reducing non-instructional position, and cut back in overall non-personnel costs. So with the change in the insurance plan, we also cut down the cost for the insurance. So that's the reason why the 5 million is a one-time cost, because we use that 5 million to pay our claims. And next year, just as we no longer have to pay that particular cost for the insurance. Next slide, please. So in terms of the impact to the taxpayer, with the homeowner, with the homestead exemption, for this particular years, you will see on the ballot a proposal to increase the homestead exemption from 100,000 to 140,000, and that would create some saving for the homeowner. And if the VADA pass, as you can see, for the homeowner of 250,000 with the homestead exemption, the homeowner still see a saving of $364. Now, if you own a home of 550,000, you still see a saving of $229. And the average home in Justin ISD is around 283,000. So the message I would like to leave with the community is basically, if the VADA pass, the average homeowner at Justin ISD will see a saving of $300. Next slide, please. So transparency is very important. We post all the information on our website, including the efficiency audit and all of the questions and how to calculate your saving. If you have a homestead exemption, is also on our website. As you can see, the website is www.justinisd.org/VADA. Next slide, please. So the deadline to register to vote was actually yesterday, October 6th of 2025, and the early voting will begin on October 20th. So the next the next slide, please. On your screen is what you will see on the ballot. You will say that this is a tax increase because it is an increase from last year for the local taxpayer. So that is the reason why the language is over there, even though in reality, based on what I just explained, most of the taxpayer will see a saving of $300, even if the VADA passes. The next slide, please. Here is some information relating to the
early voting. The early voting is starting on October 20th and then on October 31st. And you can find out more about the voting site on our website. The next slide, please. And one more. So the voting day is on November 4th, and we are now at the end of the presentation. I know that's a lot of information. However, I just want to say two things. The first message is basically the beta will generate $21 for the district, which, it's $21 million for the district, which is critical for the daily operation of the district. And if the beta pass, for the average homeowner in just an ISD, they will see a saving of roughly $300 even if the beta pass.
With the homestead exemption. So if that goes from 100,000 valuation to 140,000, which is share, then most people are going to see almost a $400 savings. So even with the passing of the beta, they still see on average a $250 to $360 savings per year. I know that was a lot of information. I know it was a bunch to go through. We stand ready to answer any questions that you guys may have about it.
Any question from the council, city staff?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, one thing that I've heard, can I still ask anything?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. One thing I've heard is that.
Don't ask me about Sheriff Civil School District.
Going for a Vader,
Is that the state has cut funding, right? That Judson is losing a lot of students to the other schools and things like that. And I was having this conversation today, and I asked the question, who they're losing it to, and well, it's going to charter schools and things like that. As a guy who was on a charter school board previously,
Yes, sir.
I was at one of the locations where they actually accepted everybody, right? There was no fill out this application and you might get it. It was everybody came in. Is that standard for charter schools to accept everybody, or is the standard charter school going to take applications?
I think most charter schools take applications. They may bring in a bunch of folks or a bunch of students, but they can also monitor who stays. So they may bring in a lot, but then if their complications start or there's issues with the learning capacity of the students, they may say that you might not be the right fit there, and then they come back to public school.
So the ISD will accept
Always.
even Vernon.
Always. Always.
All right.
Always. I would also say, though, that in terms of the students that leave Judson ISD, it ranges. We have parents that go to Fort Sam that are stationed there and over at Randolph. So a lot of our students go to those campuses as well because they have the capacity to go hang out at Fort Sam or be at Randolph with them.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
I was just going to say, I appreciate this presentation. I've been asked a lot about this, and we've had a number of conversations. And I had seen a post about your taxes are going to be reduced this year anyway, and I was like trying to understand the math on that. And so this really helped clarify that for me. So I feel like it's good information, and it will help me to at least have conversations so that the voters of UC can make their own decision on how they feel about it. Because I know it's a hot topic, but I feel like you did a great job with putting together the information.
Thank you so much. It really is complicated. I mean, and when you say evaluation, if a home costs $200,000, right now, if you have a homestead exemption, you only pay taxes on $100,000. Once it goes up to $140,000, you'll only pay taxes on $60,000. So that's how the actual tax rate goes down. But that's on the homestead exemption.
Yep, thank you. I just wanted to say it was good information.
Thanks, Mr.
I'll add in one more thing. If you go to the Vader website, I don't know if it's on the Short Cibolo, but I know I've seen it on the Judson one. You can actually put in your home valuation from the appraisal district in there on a little sliding scale, and it'll tell you exactly what your savings will be for your specific house. So they gave 2 examples, but if you want to know just for yourself, you can go to their website and find out.
Yes, ma'am. once again, we want to say thanks. For,
No other questions?
thank you so much,
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. All right, now.
You're welcome to stick around if you'd like to. We promise that it will be more interesting than watching paint dry. But, I understand we need
Appreciate it. I got one tomorrow night. I think I'll wait.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Run while you can.
Any staff reports now?
No staff report, sir. I know we're going into the public hearing section, so maybe I just want to explain for people who have never been here for a public hearing and how it works. So Michael's going to come up and do a general presentation, overview of the project, and then the mayor is going to open the public hearing for people who have signed up to speak and anyone else you choose. And then at some point, the public hearing will be closed. Later in the agenda, the city council will go into an action item, and that discussion is amongst the city council. They don't take questions and answers from the audience at that point. Also want to point out in a public hearing, it is to receive information. It's not a two-way dialogue. It's for the council to receive information from the public on how they feel about this particular item. And so I just want to make sure that everybody understands, because at some point you may raise your hand in the audience and the mayor is not going to call on you, and it's because he legally cannot call on you. So don't think that he's ignoring you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to take that out. We're going to open up the public hearing. And before I open up the public hearing, I'm going to invite Mr. Scott to come up and give some overview.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Should say. Overview.
Okay, this is going to be the same, pretty much the same presentation that we provided to you back in June. So we're talking about the ETJ, or the extraterritorial jurisdiction, which is primarily located at this point in time on the east side of the creek, on both sides of FM 1518. So just a recap of what provides the city the ability to annex properties in the ETJ. These are the two sections of the state code that apply. And so this is a large map that shows the city's boundaries, which are in red, the current boundaries of the city, as well as the ETJ properties that are still, in the ETJ, and those are identified in black. So essentially, as I mentioned, you have the majority of universal cities to the west and south. The more recently annexed Orchard Park subdivision, the single-family subdivision, is to the north, as well as the 2-acre commercial property adjacent to the single-family subdivision. And then you have Selma to the north of there, and Schertz to the east and south. So more specifically, the ETJ properties in question, there are 13 properties that are in the ETJ, and it comes to approximately 148 acres. So this identifies the different property owners, as well as 6 of the properties that are located in the floodplain. And those are primarily, or all of them, are primarily located on the west side of 1518. That portion that is identified in the, just north of the ETJ properties in the floodplain is the 2-acre property in the Orchard Park subdivision that has been recently removed or taken out of the floodplain through a blower. So the reason we're here tonight is because of the non-annexation agreements. And those non-annexation agreements were entered into with the various property owners in the ETJ 10 years ago. They were executed in January 2016, and it was a 10-year term, and they expire in January 2026. And so as we had mentioned back in June, there are 2 potential projects on properties in the ETJ that we're aware of. Meritage Homes, who did build the Orchard Park subdivision, did come before you last fall and provided a concept level presentation of their idea for the Beager property primarily. And that is a single family subdivision with a couple of acres in commercial fronting 1518 to the north of that property. And then there's an additional property, a potential cell tower on the Lovett property, and that is basically on the west or south of 1518 And I don't have a cursor, so I can't show you exactly where it is. But it's just west of Maskey Road, if you follow that towards the creek. So one thing that we wanted to point out is Section 11 of the non-annexation agreements. This clauses in each of the agreements that the city entered into, and specifically wanted to highlight the last part of this, Section 11, and that is upon the expiration of this agreement, the landowner and the landowner's successors, heirs or assigns, agree to the voluntary annexation of the property, with this agreement serving as a petition for voluntary annexation. So some considerations for annexation of these properties. So you have three options tonight. You can annex the properties, don't annex the properties, or you can potentially extend the non-annexation development agreements. So we'll break that down a little. So the first option, if you choose to annex the properties, obviously there are legal requirements for all of these. We have to notify, send out legal notices, notify in the newspaper, both in the Herald as well as the Seguin Gazette, and post it on the website. The city has done that within the time frame required for the state statute. We also send certified letters to all public agencies that are impacted potentially, and all the property owners affected. Tonight we're having the public hearing. And then if it is approved, the annexation ordinance will require 2 readings. So tonight will be the first one. The next council meeting will be the second reading. And then after that, we will amend the official boundary map for the city. If you choose not to annex these properties, obviously no vote is required. The non-annexation agreements will just expire in January. And just want to point out that there are different dates for each of the non-annexation agreements, but they all do expire at some point in January. The last option is to extend the non-annexation agreements. Obviously, you would need to get negotiate or get approval from the property owners if the city council decides to go that route. And then if you do extend the agreements, you would have to record those agreements at the county. So those will go on title. If there is a transaction, a land sale, then it will show up on title, and the new owner should be aware of this, the non-annexation agreement affecting the property that they're looking to purchase. Okay, so some benefits and drawbacks of annexing these properties. So dollars and cents. So these properties will be afforded a higher level of emergency services. Just a reminder that the city did spend $2 million investing in services, infrastructure on the other side of the creek, specifically that emergency access road crossing the creek, which was recently opened. Utilities will be provided over the past, I forget how many number of years, 10 years possibly. The city did provide or install a water main line running north-south along 1518 on the east side of 1518. That came to approximately $1.17 million. Street and light maintenance, obviously, any roads, such as in the Orchard Park subdivision, that's a public road. Any roads that are built within those properties will become part of the city. Health protections, increased property values, obviously with valuation, those will increase with the development on those properties. Property values will increase, as I just mentioned. Then lower insurance rates are possible, and they will also get land use regulation and protection. So land use regulation, meaning that they will have to comply with the city's building code, adopted building code, as well as the zoning regulations that the city has for properties. And in addition, the last point is that they will be able to have a voice in municipal government. They'll be able to vote for city council members and other referendum that we have. So possible drawbacks. Increased city personnel. Obviously, if these properties develop, especially with single family homes, there's going to be increased population that the city will have to serve. At this point, we did an analysis. If with the properties as the way they are situated, we would not need additional staffing at this time, meaning fire and police, to respond. They do have to contend with the JBSA rules and regulations. A large portion of those properties are within the flight path of JBSA. As we mentioned in one of the earlier slides, a number of those properties are in the floodplain. And then at some point, we believe that 1518 will be widened. So the city will have to participate and have a voice in that. And obviously, the folks will have a stronger voice if they are part of the city. So what if the land is not annexed? So does the city have any control over land uses? Essentially, the answer is no. So the county they'll have to comply with the county code from a building standpoint as well as a zoning standpoint. And does the city have to provide water? So the city will have to provide water if it's requested. Simple as that. Especially since we do have the main line out there right now. And that's all I have for you today. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Do you have any questions for Mr. Casada?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Mr. Goolsby?
can you define provide water? Where does the water go? And is it just like stubbed out on the other side of the creek? Is it already run to all the individual properties?
So if you're familiar with the meager track there, the homestead that's there, it comes on the side of their property. I would call it north side. The water line runs to Orchard Park over there. But any development south of that towards Maskey Road, the water line would have to be extended for that particular development.
Is that the first person to develop's responsibility, or does the city handle it?
No, that'd be the developer. When the developer comes in, they would extend those lines per the development code that we have.
So if it's a small development, a small single owner, I'm not a developer, I own a piece of property, if I owned a piece of property over there and I wanted to build a 1,200 square foot office, I've got to bring the water line over?
We'd have to look at it. There's a certain amount of footage that we'd have to look at because you would pay an impact fee for it that sometimes covers that cost. But typically, if it's developer driven, they do extend it. Yes.
So on the water line that we already have out there, the owners that are on that side of the road, we've already developed the tap areas for them, so it'd be a little bit easier. Going to the south, you have to again go back to whether they're annexed or not annexed. If they are annexed, yes, the developer would bear the cost of doing that water line down south toward Maskey Road, and we would work with them on that. But the preponderance of the infrastructure to get it under the creek and out to that side has already been done by the city. Where it runs now, where it pops up on 1518, if you've been out there and you see this beautiful fence without low water crossing, that is where the water comes up to. And so you kind of give an idea of where it needs to go. But if they're under a non-annexation development agreement, and their agreement says that it's a single house, and then they come back in and they put in an office building, that's a change in use, and that's automatic annexation. So yes, they would have to put the water line in.
Any other questions? Save it for the, okay.
Yeah, I'll say this one later.
Okay. So far.
There was just now.
So it is 7:04. I'll open up the public meeting, and I do have Mr. Levitt first on the list. If you'd like to come forward.
Mr. Mayor and City Councilmen and Councilwomen, thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak. I'm speaking here tonight on behalf of 10 of the property owners, the 10 pieces of the property that are scheduled for the non-annexation agreement to be annexed. And we'd like to, may I provide you all with some letters that we have
Yes.
each and everyone signed? Is it all right?
Yes, you hand them out.
Okay. That one here.
Charles, she said she would hand them
I'll
out.
hand
Oh,
them
you'll
out.
have one.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that way you
Thank
can
you.
continue to speak. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'm speaking tonight on behalf of Dick Wayman and his wife Hazel, on behalf of the Vasquez's, Kelly and James, my wife and I, and what else do we forget? Oh, yes, Angie was not able to make it tonight, Angie Jones, and we have in these packages that are for each one of you, there is what do you call the letter? No, the letter from
Power of attorney?
the power of attorney from one of the people who couldn't make it at all. She was in Taiwan, Shu Sin Min Lin, and she provided a power of attorney. So I think all of you have letters from each of the 10 property owners and the power of attorney, as it's our feeling that we have a legitimate right to not be annexed at this time. Are there any questions that I can answer for any of you tonight?
It's just it's not a conversation back and forth. It's actually just the you
Just
providing
your
this information.
Yes.
It's not a back and forth.
Okay, if you have no questions, all I want to do is present you with these letters and these petitions from all of the 10 property owners. Now we have 3 other property owners that are discussing it between themselves, and we may have additional letters on the other 3 properties yet to provide you. We'll drop those out to you as they become available.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the time.
Ms. Gail Hyatt. Ms. Hyatt,
I don't have anything right now.
you don't have anything right at the moment? Okay.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, James?
I don't have anything.
Mr. Vasquez?
Vasquez, yes.
I don't have anything.
That's all that I have signed up for tonight, but under policy, under open hearing, public hearings, I extend the invitation to anyone else who would like to stand up and speak on the subject of the ETJ. You're welcome to at this time. Is there anyone else that would like to stand up and make a presentation? Once I close the meeting, there'll be last of this time for you to provide information to the council. It is 7:08, and the public meeting is now closed. We'll move on to the rest of the agenda. Okay, city manager announcements.
Yeah, in case anybody didn't know, we have this thing called a pumpkin patch. It's taken over City Hall, it's taken over the city, it's taken over the council, as a matter of fact. Yes, it is open, it's beautiful. Something different this year that I particularly am enjoying is they have lights out there at night. So if you want to go visit a beautiful pumpkin patch with your family in the evening or during the day and do Parks Partners for the extra work that you put in this year. That's all I have, sir.
That's all you got. Going to mayor announcements. First of all, this is Fire Prevention Month, and our fire department is out on review tonight to see what is the National Night Out, and unfortunately we have the agenda tonight, so maybe if we get out early enough and go hit some of the late parties. We do have a proclamation, and I am going to read the proclamation for fire safety. Just bear with me for a couple of minutes, please. Whereas the City of Universal City is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living and visiting our city, and whereas fire remains a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, and the presence of lithium-ion batteries in many household devices introduces unique fire risks, and whereas most of the electronics used in homes daily, including smartphones, tablets, laptops, power tools, and more, are powered by lithium-ion batteries, which, if misused, damaged, or improperly charged, can overheat, start a fire, and explode. And whereas the National Fire Prevention Association reports an increase in battery-related fires, underscoring the need for public education on the safe use of lithium-ion batteries. And Whereas residents should follow 3 calls to action: buy only listed products, charge batteries safely, and recycle them responsibly to prevent battery-related fires. And whereas improper use of these batteries, such as overcharging, using off-brand chargers without safety certifications, exposing batteries to damage, or improper disposal of said batteries can result in fire or explosion. And whereas the proper disposal and recycling of lithium-ion batteries help prevent environmental hazards, reduce fire risk in home and community. And whereas Universal City's first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education. And whereas Universal City residents are responsive to public education measures and are able to take personal steps to increase their safety from fires, especially in their homes. And whereas the 2025 Fire Prevention Week theme, Charge into Fire Safety, Lithium-Ion Batteries in Your Home, serves to remind us of the importance of using, charging, and recycling lithium-ion batteries safely to reduce the risk of fires in homes and communities. Now, therefore, I, Tom Maxwell, Mayor of the City of Universal City, this 7th day of October 2025, do hereby proclaim October 5 to 11, 2025 Fire Prevention Week throughout the city, and I urge all people of Universal City to support the many public safety activities and educational efforts of Universal City Fire Emergency Services, especially related to fire and safe lithium-ion battery use. Amen. Fire department's not here to get that, but we'll pass that over to them. I do have other general announcements. First of all, you're seeing a lot of Proposition A and B signs. I'm not here to advocate for or against either one of them, but I had one question whenever I hear a proposal, but it's not going to cost you anything. It's zero to the property owners and business owners. And so I was invited to a meeting with the Spurs and the San Antonio Rodeo last week, along with a lot of other mayors. And the one question I had was, what is it and what's in it for us as citizens? And I am here to tell you that the proposal is a increase in the hotel tax for Dare County. It's only a 0.25. It goes from 0.1. The proposal, if approved, will go from 1.75 to 2. That extra 0.25% will go to the proposition, and will actually allow the rodeo, which I did not know at the time. I'm not really from here originally, so I never really paid attention to it. But the San Antonio Rodeo is a nonprofit organization. It's run totally as a nonprofit. And their rodeo in the month of February, that's the only time they have a rodeo. They rent the Coliseum in order to do that. And then they close it out and move it out. But they supply hundreds of thousands of dollars in funding for FFA, 4-H, agribusinesses, and things of this nature. This proposal will give them the opportunity to actually procure the Coliseum year-round for agro-style businesses dealing with ranch, farming, and conferences throughout the year, generating funds year-round. So I'm just giving you the information. The money, we do get money back across the county, and if anybody in here has farmland, if you've got kids that are going to high school, junior high school, in the 4-H program or the FFA program, money goes back to them. There's hundreds of other different opportunities. The Spurs have the same type of program, but theirs is, the misconception is that we think we're building them a new stadium. The reality of the stadium is that it is going to be funded by the Spurs and by the whole family. This is the information that they provided to us. None of the hot tax goes to anything to build them a stadium. That much I can say. The two proposals do kind of go hand in hand. You can vote on them separately or vote on them separately. The way I'm looking at it, though, the only way they can really work is for both of them to pass. I'm just giving you that as information. I'm not advocating for you to pass, vote for or against. I just want you to make an informed decision, just like you make an informed decision on the Vader tax mentioned earlier today. Enough on that one. In the last couple of weeks, I've met numerous potential business folks wanting to open up businesses within Universal City. Most of them are in a retail area. The main complaint that I'm getting from these folks is, when I say complaint, I say concern, is adequate facilities. The buildings that we have that are empty and vacant are, let's just say, older, and their interior has not necessarily been updated to the 21st century. And these are kind of drawbacks to some of the folks in there. We're having a hard time finding suitable facilities for. One is an ice cream vendor, one is a sports vendor that goes into looking for specialized training. Another one is programming children's activity for after school. There are just 3 of about 5 of them that have gone. The others are similar type services for us. So just giving you that as an information. This is kind of the important, because we're coming up this week. We talk about the venue taxes that we have utilizing retail sales and stuff. A lot of those taxes go to help support all these different businesses, which in turn help us grow as a city and utilize the different services that we have without attacking or adding on to property taxes. I don't like adding on the property taxes. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Goolsby. He had the invocation rates. We start off with council comments.
Yes, sir.
And then we'll go that way.
Excellent. So, the only thing I've really gotten is, well, but two, one, great job with the pumpkin patch. It's amazing. It's beautiful. Oh, she's already gone. But then the other is, we've got I'm going to ask staff or I'm going to ask for a consensus to ask staff for a proposal, not a proposal, but an explanation on an SUP in the zoning ordinance. I would really like to have that education prior to before any other SUPs arrive on the council agenda. Yes, I have because I have a misunderstanding, and I've been doing this for a long time, so I have a misunderstanding. And so before I say something inappropriate, I thought it would be best if we all had an education. And just whenever y'all would like to do it, just before the next one shows up, would be great.
So you're asking for a consensus?
If council's okay with me asking staff to give us a presentation.
Thumbs up, thumbs up.
Education sounds great.
So down.
Thank you. That's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Rubal?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I thank the mayor and the city manager for putting the proposition venue tax on a future council agenda. I'm much more comfortable now after talking with them and getting some email response back and forth that it will be discussed. I thank council members for supporting that. At some future meeting, Mr. Mayor, it would be nice to have an educational update also, or at least information transfer on exactly how the city is funding UCTV. It obviously has a potentially great asset, but the costs are a little bit unclear in how that's being funded and so forth. So if staff could just do a 5-minute review or whatever of that, I'd appreciate it. A follow-up with regard.
Are we going to get a consensus on that? I'm sorry. Can I stop you there?
Sure.
You're asking it for some time in a future meeting, and so you're asking for consensus. Can we just stop there and see if there's going to be a consensus before you go on to your next item? Otherwise, I have a tendency to lose track. Okay.
Good question. So the consensus request is for the funding of the UCTV, correct?
I know how it's funded. I'm good. I don't need it.
I know how it's funded.
Yeah. I don't have one.
I don't have a problem discussing it.
I'm comfortable with how it's funded, but
Just for the public, a 5-minute presentation on how it's funded at a future meeting.
Perhaps if it's going to be for educational purposes, I will ask the communications staff to do an article on the gateway. That way, not only council can get to know, but the residents that get the gateway can have that same
I think
information.
that's a good compromise.
that's a good.
I agree with that.
Hit a wider audience. Is that all right with you, Mr. Rubal?
As long as the funding sources are identified.
We will get that in a future gateway.
So,
Thank you.
got that covered?
I guess it's 3, Mr. Mayor. Comments are made with regard to heads in beds, with regard to utilizing the hotel tax, which has come up for another reason tonight, not for us, but hotel tax.
I can tell, nobody can hear you.
Okay.
Speak just a little louder.
Thank you. What I'd like to have council entertain is within the aviation district, using the hotel tax at some time in the future, come up with a plan that would be something akin to, and this isn't necessarily an aviation art and performing cultural center, not supported by tax, by sales tax money, not supported by, definitely not supported by property taxes, but to support the aviation district, and something akin to an aviation art and cultural center from the hotel tax, putting heads in bed. This would include an information center with the history of Randolph Air Force Base, and also the city of University City and surrounding areas. It would be a performing arts center in addition to an aviation art display that would draw people as a unique thing to use as a gateway to Randolph Air Force Base. So I just put that out there for council just to think about and hopefully support. And finally, I'd like to acknowledge the mayor's contribution to the council board. I found what he posted there very insightful, and we'll also put comments into that. I encourage everybody to read the council message board if you're able to.
Thank you. I'd like to caveat on one thing. The comprehension plan that we worked on recently, which has come to fruition later on, we actually...
Planning and zoning, November 3rd, city council, November 18th, whatever the next second meeting is in November.
With that should cover your request on the cultural center. Now, it will be specifically cultural center, but all those different programs for the coming years, we can build the future for that within that comprehension program.
Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Putt?
Always have something. First, I want to thank Randy Loonsman for working with the intense soccer and football team. You have a lot of happy residents out there that are very excited to use the fields and get their programs going. So good job. I knew you would. Next one is kind of sentimental. One of our firefighters had a tragic loss with a young child. And I just got to say that our department showed what family is really like. I've never seen a bunch of people come together like our fire department did for this young man and his family. And it says a lot about our employees. It really does. The pumpkin patch, I'm not going to take it all, so you can say a little bit. Get out and see it between 7 and 8 at night. You've never seen anything so magical. It is beautiful out there. This Sunday, we're having our Wine on a Vine. It's a 21-year and older event. No children, no animals. For $45, you can get a ticket. You get wine tastings, you get beer tastings, you have some snacks. We have live music, the trees are uplit, the lights are on, and then you get a pumpkin that you get to paint. It's you can't buy a ticket at the gate. We usually sell out. You have between 100 and 120 people come, and it is such a fun night. All of our proceeds go to Parks Partners, which in turn, Randy gets a check for playgrounds and things in Universal City. So if you don't have anything planned on Sunday, come to Wine on the Vine because it really is a fun night. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Tim?
I don't have anything tonight, thank you.
Mr. Bond?
Nothing for me either.
Pro Tim?
Yes, I have a couple things. Thank you for giving me something. This last weekend, we had our first city event, which was Heroes Day. It was probably the craziest and busiest, well-attended event I've seen in a long time. Our parking lot was chaos. But kudos to the fire and the PD and Public Works who helped support them. They really put on a solid event, and people were really impressed by what they saw and got to experience. It was opening day for the patch, which was exciting. I think you all know that the patch is open every day and it benefits a local nonprofit. They come and work the patch and then they get part of the proceeds. So all month long, it's about giving back to the community. You can come out for free, you can bring your family, you can come out every day. You can never buy a pumpkin, it's still open to you. But if you buy a pumpkin, it's supporting some sort of nonprofit, and I'm sure if you looked at the calendar, you would find something that you liked and you would want to support and buy a pumpkin for, that you're probably going to buy anyway at HEB for a little bit less, but you don't have the fun and the experience. So please consider buying from the pumpkin patch. Kim, this is kind of to you, and I probably could take it offline, but I know there's been some THC rules that have changed in the state, and I think San Antonio is looking at some different legislation as well. Is it something that we should be considering for UC at this point?
So there are some THC regulations. A lot of that's going to be handled by the state itself, or a state agency. I don't know how that's going to work out. They will give us a lot of direction on that. In terms of San Antonio, what they have done is they have created an ordinance for vape stores where you typically will find your CBD and THC. So they put out an ordinance, much like you would for adult beverage sales, where it has to be 300 feet from school, 300 feet from a church, 1,000 feet from another vape store. That's what San Antonio did. And if you want us, the council tells us you want us to look into that, we can. We would just have to bring it back to you at a later date.
I personally think those things make sense, and if we have the ability to keep them close to schools, et cetera, do you guys have a consensus with that one?
Yes,
Put it
absolutely.
on for discussion.
Okay, thank you.
Consensus is to.
And then the last thing, I just saw a post that Kirby was potentially considering the furlough, which I know right now has been, there's not a lot of information about if they're going to be paid or not paid, how long it's going to go, et cetera. But they're looking at potentially waiving any action related to water bills during that time. If they have proof that they've been furloughed, they can come in and document, show that they've been furloughed. I don't know that we need to talk about it right now because it's so early, but I definitely think we need to keep it in consideration. And they're actually they're talking about it and probably going to have after the furlough is over and they go back to work, they have so long to come in and get their bill caught up. So it's not a forever thing, it's just until you go back and are making money. So I know we've got a lot of people that are impacted by that right now, so if you guys want to think, wait to see how it shakes out, or if we want to do something, have it for a discussion item.
Well, I may recommend, I lived through 3 furloughs when I was working. Most federal employees have their pays directly deposited into a banking situation or a banking institution. Most of those, not all of them, but most of them are aware that your payment history or your deposit history, and they have notified their customers that they were going to be a grace period. They would actually give them that credit in their account for that duration if it extended over a period of time. I know some folks have been notified of their local banking institution that they're there to help. So I don't know that it's really anything that we need, but it's good to be aware of, and it gives us something to be aware of. If somebody comes in with, here's my furlough notice, and I don't have any money coming in, I think we can address that individually.
I will add on to, remember that if somebody is late on there, we give them several notices. If they can't make that payment, we do set them up on an extended payment plan. And so it could be if they can show that they're military and furloughed, typically we would do a payment plan for 4 months. The utility staff has the ability to say, yeah, we'll extend it for 6 months and you'll just make smaller payments. But, do your best not to get too far behind, because then we'll end up back where we are with COVID, and we have a lot of military people that come and go, and it's very hard to collect their money once they left the city. So we could possibly just set them up on a payment plan if the furlough continues. But remember, on the water, you get your utility bill 30 days after you've used your water. So even if they're on furlough now, They're just getting their utility bill for September, even though we're in October. So they probably have a bit of a cushion, more than they think. So
Perfect. I just wanted to raise awareness.
we'll have that discussion with the utility. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? We'll close that out. We'll go into the consent agenda. All matters listed under this item are considered to be routine by city council and will be enacted in one motion. Is there any request to remove anything? And I'll call for a motion.
Move to approve. Second.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Shelby?
Aye.
Councilmember Goolsby?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fitzpatrick?
Aye.
Councilmember Rubal?
Aye.
Councilmember Vaughan?
Aye.
Councilmember Putt, sorry.
Oh.
Motion carried.
Approved. Action items A, TML Regional 7 official ballot. We have collectively one vote for our region. Two people are running candidates for it. Ed Simic, council member from Live Oak, and Norma Sanchez Stevens, council member from Cibolo. I know both of the individuals. I know Ed Simic a little bit better because I've known him for a number of years, but I worked with him on city council in Live Oak. He has recently retired, and he has been studying to take over leadership within the TML region. I personally recommend him, and if the council so approves, I would appreciate that, and we'd go forward in one vote. If you feel that the other individual is more appropriate, it is your option to vote that one in. So I ask for a motion to approve one or the other.
Motion to approve.
Which one?
The first one.
It's in it?
All in one.
Okay, so, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Call for the vote?
Councilmember Putt?
Aye.
Councilmember Goolsby?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fitzpatrick?
Aye.
Councilmember Rubal?
Aye.
Councilmember Shelby?
Aye.
Councilmember Vaughan?
Abstain.
Motion carried.
Approved. And I'll put an X on that, check on that one, and we will move that collectively as our vote for that. We get one vote collectively. Item B, Resolution 9608, 2025, Policy for Investment of Public Funds.
Wash, rinse, and repeat. You know, we have to reapprove this same document with no changes, not one jot, not tittle every year. So that's what we have before you this evening.
Move for approval. Second.
Any discussion? You have it?
Shelby and Vaughan?
Yes. Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Shelby?
Aye.
Councilmember Vaughan?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fitzpatrick?
Aye.
Councilmember Goolsby?
Aye.
Councilmember Putt?
Aye.
Councilmember Rubal?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Approved. Item C, Utility Bad Debt Write-Off, FYE 2025.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As you know, annually, the staff reviews the utility accounts for any accounts that are 4 months late or longer. This fiscal year for 2025, we had 94 accounts that met that criterion. The accounts total $18,299.84, with an average of $194 per account. Historically, bad debt write-offs occur in October to prepare for the annual audit. For fiscal year 2024, the bad debt write-off was $30,843. So you can see a bit of an improvement between the 2 years. For this past fiscal year, we had 11 accounts that amounted to less than $25, so they will not be sent to collections. We had 53 accounts that have already been sent to collections, and unfortunately, one of our customers or prior customers has passed away. With the collection process, you know that monthly bills are sent out via email or US mail. They're given 10 days disconnect notice, an email, US mail, and a telephone call with a voicemail left, and then legally to disconnect. At that point, we start the collection process, and the collection process involves both city staff as well as sending it to a collection agency. And we just ask that you approve the write-off of $18,299.84 as of 9/30/2025.
Okay.
Motion.
Mr., you're ready to hit. Mr. Shelby?
Thank you. Just to refresh my memory, even if we're writing off the bad debt, if somebody comes back in and tries to reestablish service, what do we do with that?
Make them pay the bad debt back.
Thank you. Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Shelby,
Aye.
Councilmember Goolsby,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fitzpatrick,
Aye.
Councilmember Putt,
Aye.
Councilmember Rubal,
Aye.
Councilmember Vaughan.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Approved. Item D, ordinance number 639C 2025, FM 1518 ETJ annexation. Any brief? This is where we need to make a decision whether we go for the approval for the annexation. So we'll make a motion first before we discuss. Motion.
Even if you're going to recommend that you do something different than what's listed.
You want to make a motion, Mr. Goolsby?
Oh my gosh, you want me to step into it?
No, I'm saying you sounded like you wanted to make a
I
motion.
kind of do.
We have the boots on.
Well, this is probably the area because this is where the discussion we want to approve or disapprove.
I'll make a motion that we postpone the option number 3 for the 10 years. Isn't that what it is?
Wait,
It's
you
like
mean to
redo it?
sign a renew the annexation agreement?
Yeah, to renew it, that's what I want.
What we did 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So that would be the
Non-annexation agreement again.
okay.
For all 13?
I'm fine with it.
Well, let's discuss.
I guess I'll second that.
Okay, so
now we
the
can
motion is to extend the annexation agreement for 10 years.
For another 10?
I think
Is that the-
wasn't
is
that
that-
where
is
we'd
that
have
the
to
proposal?
negotiate? I don't,
Well, we can discuss in the
That's what
motion
we're
not
talking
available.
about.
Is that the proposal? Is that the motion?
That's the motion, yeah, to,
Okay, the motion is to extend the annexation by 10 years. Okay, with that comes the renegotiation of each contract
Yes, sir.
with each property owner.
and with
With
each property owner.
yes, sir.
Cost involved?
Beg your pardon?
Is there any additional cost involved in that negotiation?
Well,
Fees, charges,
staff
staff
hand, legal
time.
review for drafting it, and then just, meeting with them, plus the recordation costs that you would have.
And then you could have people come up with completely different terms, like each property owner. One could say, I want another 10, one could say, I could do it for, they'd all have to be the same.
So the motion that Mr. Councilmember Goolsby made, I didn't hear it, but did he say 10 years, 5 years, 2
He said
years?
10 years.
10
He did say 10
years.
years.
That's the maximum by which you can extend the non-annexation agreement. But what we'd have to do is go back through and take the time before these expire to go in to every property, find out what they're using the property for, have them sign that, get it typed up, whatever, and then they would have to sign and have notarized that that's exactly what they're going to use the property for. And again, just like we have right now, that at the end of that 10 years, they are agreeing at the end of the 10 years, like they did in this one, that they are voluntarily requesting to be annexed. And at any time, if they decided to change the use of their property, the city council would automatically annex them. But I think that's what you have to go back to. I don't know if we have, can we pull up Michael's presentation? Thank you. Do you remember which slide?
7.
Start at slide 6.
It's that one.
So when these property owners negotiated their original non-annexation agreements with the city council, it was for the full 10 years. At that time, they were advised and they assigned and they agreed that they wouldn't change the use of their property. Most of them haven't, except for Mr. Armstrong. He sold his property, which is how we have the development called Orchard Park, plus the commercial property in front of it. They agreed that they would be voluntarily annexed at the end of that 10-year agreement. So you basically already negotiated with them, maybe not you individually, but the council at that time already negotiated with them that this was the year that they were going to get annexed.
And I guess to that point, I'm not sure, if they voluntarily agreed to this 10 years ago, I'm not sure why we would.
I'm not sure that I'm sorry, is this a back and forth?
Yeah, we just.
Okay.
It's discussion.
So, my concern is that you're asking Joe and Jane Citizen to understand what all this language. And I know that's not a great excuse, but again, and for them to understand that, well, in 10 years, if you touch it or you don't touch it, we're going to annex you. I don't know if that was a clear understanding. I could be mistaken. They may have known it and then it's changed their minds. I just know that we have X number of people that have signed letters and are here tonight, I'm assuming not wanting to be annexed. And as a property owner outside of the town, not here, if the city got big enough and started getting next to my property and said, we're going to swallow you up in 10 years, I now know that I better read that language real clear. But I can't say that they did, and that's my concern.
Have you ever signed an agreement for a car or?
I've got some bad signing things, some bad decisions, Ms. Turner, I have. And as a guy that's made bad decisions, that's why I asked everybody to understand different footsteps and different travel paths in my prayer, was that I've made bad decisions and had my feet held to the fire.
I understand that. In terms of the city, we wanted to annex them then, we agreed not to. We said, okay, we're going to come back in 10 years and annex you unless you change your use sometimes during that 10 year. From a city perspective, we followed into the annexation plan with the water line and the emergency services and the Civil Oak Creek subdivision and the protection of all the properties that we have out there. So I understand maybe they didn't fully understand, or maybe they didn't seek legal counsel, or maybe they forgot, but we've been marching that whole way the whole time. It should not be much of a surprise to anyone, and most of them are the original landowners that we worked with 10 years ago on these agreements. So I understand it from your perspective, but from the city's perspective, in that 10 years, we have marched to get to this point. And I realize that I might have to be the bad guy saying things this evening, and I apologize to everyone, nothing against anybody personal, but the plan was given to the staff, we followed the plan.
Mr. Shelby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be the bad guy. I was on the council that voted for the non-annexation agreement 10 years ago, and that was, I'm going to end up, you stole half of what I was going to say. The city and citizens of Universal City committed to spending money to build in the road, build in the water, expand services, with the only purpose of that agreement was that we wouldn't annex unless the property changed until the end of the agreement. So my problem is that we have a good faith agreement signed by both parties, the city and the property owners. And now I understand there is some concern that time has now passed and that change is now arriving. But we have done our part as a city to commit funds to put the services in and build a low water crossing and put water lines in. We have a potential commitment to provide water. If I remember correctly, that was part of the conversation earlier, we could be asked for water. We may have to provide water, and the citizens of Universal City who are continuing to pay property taxes are going to be helping with that continually, because we're going to have to support those water lines. So we're on the hook based upon a legal decision that we put together, a legal agreement that we put together 10 years ago.
And I also want to add that there is other work that we have done just besides, the physical capacity. We also had to go in and enter into service agreements for gas and electric and telecom and sewer. And so we have already put all of that franchise agreements in place as well when we started down this process through that 10-year period. So again, I apologize. Staff was given the direction. We followed the direction that the city council gave us. Here we are today. We have to either stick with the plan or whatever council is going to decide to do today.
Or extend the plan.
No.
For what reason?
Because when the original plan showed up at council, it was you don't have to, we're not going to annex you unless you do something different. I'm sorry, I have a hard time. I understand what Councilmember Shelby said. I understand that the city is working their way, but there's always the option to extend an agreement in my head. And if these homeowners or landowners don't want to be annexed or hoping for, I mean, again, I didn't know that it was a 10-year agreement until we got this. That's where I'm at. I'm not a...
Not a lawyer.
Do what?
You're not a lawyer.
I'm not a lawyer.
But what you've asked the current residents of Universal City to do is to fund a utility extension out there and a road extension out there to provide all the service to people who, I'm sorry, aren't going to use it and aren't going to pay for it?
On the just in case. The city set it up on the just in case. I've had projects where if we had to do something, yeah, okay, is there not development over? We had to do it anyway because there is development over. There was a section that has been developed.
That also had a non-annexation development agreement.
Exactly.
And they asked us to annex that.
And as soon as they developed, they were required to annex. So I understand. We're just on different sides. We've got different viewpoints.
Yeah, it's Putt first.
So 10 years from now, I wouldn't remember that we needed, that this was coming due. Were there notices sent out? How did all these owners know that their 10 years was up?
So by state law, we are required to give them notification that we intend to annex. And so we sent them certified letters. And in case they refuse those, we sent them regular mail as well. But we also sent it out to all of the utility agencies and the taxing entities as well, letting them know that this public hearing was going to happen tonight and that this discussion was going to take place.
Okay, so it wasn't a surprise. They knew it was coming up. And then you said almost all of them are the original owners that agreed to the 10-year plan.
There's just a couple that are not.
So they don't, I haven't really read this. I haven't had a chance. The reason they don't want or are not ready for annexation right now is what?
So, and I appreciate all of you that did meet with me, and then some of you met just with Michael, some of you with Michael and I. So some of the concern was, I wanted to live in the country. Well, country's hard to come by. Some of it was, I didn't want to have to pay taxes. And so with those that we did meet, that I met with, I went back and verified that they have ag exemptions, even if they're annexed into the city, they still have an ag exemption. They're not going to be paying taxes at this point because of their ag exemption. For the ones that are not in it, yes, they will be paying taxes to the city, but in return, we are providing them with all of the services that Michael outlined: police, fire, EMS, protection from encroachment by their neighbors or whatever the neighbor happens to be doing on their property. So it's not like they're not getting anything. We are going to be providing them with everything that we give to every resident within the city of Universal City now. So there is some trade-off. On one of them, we tried to figure out what would their taxes be, but the county appraisal district doesn't put what their exemptions are. So we don't know if they're homestead or 65 and over or disabled. We don't know if they're a business. So we were not able to figure any of that out. But the recommendation is that if you are the property owner and you're going to be annexed, you really should speak either to a tax attorney or to the appraisal district to find out what your city taxes would be based on your exemptions and the value of the property. A lot of them, the smaller ones, are in the floodplain. Those are going to be very, very difficult to develop because in order for them to use their land, they have to bring it out of the floodplain, much like Orchard Park did and the commercial in Orchard Park. That is expensive. Some of them don't even have maybe any room which they can develop on because they're 100% in the floodplain. So they need to talk to their county tax assessors to see if there is an exemption for when your property's in the floodplain. I don't know, it's pretty much unusable. I'd be petitioning if it were me, but it's not my property, so I can't tell them what to do. So there's so many varying circumstances about why somebody would not want to be annexed. And, you know, maybe some people are just, you know, I don't want anybody telling me what to do.
But yet they signed an agreement.
Yes, they did.
Thank you.
Because 10 years ago, they didn't want us to tell them what to do. And now they're maybe continuing on with that particular thought pattern.
Thank you.
Mr. Blunt?
I guess I'm curious, so like, the 10 that are here, I'm missing the giant elephant, which I guess is the Beard property. Do we have any inclination of what their preference
On
is?
which one?
The Beard property, it's like it's number 13 on the map.
So that's the largest tract, and
Right.
it actually is more than one parcel. It looks like a big tract, but they have some smaller ones. So, I mean, we met with Ms. Hyatt. So they have an ag exemption. So
Right.
whether they're annexed or not, nothing changes for them.
Right, I'm just curious, they're not one of the 10 that appear to be saying they don't want to be annexed. Do you know, do they want to be annexed? Do you know?
I don't know, I didn't get a chance to
Ms.
go through all
Ms.
of
Hyatt
these.
is present.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't see her letter in the folder, I was trying to
Well,
go through it,
because it
but.
may say Bigger in her last name, Bigger property, and her last name is Hyatt.
Gotcha, okay.
I
Well,
can go through and look if you give me.
no, that's fine, I just was curious. So on the whole, though, it doesn't look like if we annex all of them tomorrow, that it would be much of a difference to the city unless development happened. I mean, I looked at the appraisal district and the total value of all of them was about 4 million, including if you got rid of all ag exemptions and everything, which at a 50-cent tax rate might be like $20,000 in property taxes. So it doesn't seem to me like it's a big deal to us, but it would probably be a really big deal to them if we annex them. And I think the Orchard Park is a really good example of that. Once something happened, they kicked in and that became part of the city and everything moved forward. And so I kind of like the idea of saying, let's give them an extension, but if you sell to a developer, then it's going to become part of the city, and that's when we would really want to be participating in that and having a say in what would happen. Even if we annex all of them, like if we looked at the utility line, I mean, what are we talking about, 6 or 7 water meters, maybe? So I don't see the big benefit of forcing the annexation, but that's my 2 cents. Now, there is one that's ours, I think number 12, so I don't see why we wouldn't annex that one.
Well, it's still ours, whether we annex it or not.
Sure. Are we gonna sign an agreement with ourselves for 10 years, or?
That would be odd.
You don't have to worry about the building code that way.
But I guess the other thing I was worried about was the negotiation of the agreement, but if the lever is, if you don't sign an extension, then we're gonna do it anyway, isn't that kind of the hammer to say you gotta sign it or you're annexed based on your current agreement? So it doesn't seem like it'd be difficult to negotiate it, the end extension.
What if the negotiation goes to the date that it?
So what we would suggest is that this comes back to city council, the second meeting in December, one way or the other.
We
So
can't hear you.
we would suggest that this goes back to city council, the second meeting in December. So we would have to negotiate or come to an agreement by that time, or council will consider, they'll either consider the agreement that has been negotiated, or annexation or not annexation. But we don't want to get pushed, to your point, for this to be delayed and dragged out for that purpose only, to exceed that date.
And I'll also say that I've read, these letters are all the same, essentially the same letter. But there's, they're protesting the annexation, which is fine, but finally it is our right to reserve the option to be annexed by Universal City in the future, provided we comply with the previously mentioned requirements. And so they're also just stating their claim that they could fight us if we extend it again. I mean, we could be in the same position. So I definitely think I'm open to seeing if you guys can come to an agreement before that meeting, if that's where we're wanting it out. But I do think that we've got to keep that deadline in mind, because we don't want that just to expire because it expires.
Well, you want to keep that in mind. You also want to keep in mind the use of the property. So when you go back through each one of these annexation development agreements, every one of them has stated what they have. I have a house, I have a farm. one of them had a hair salon and one of them had wild birds, right? So it may be between now and 10 years ago, somebody has changed the use of their property and we don't know it. We're not going to renegotiate a new use on the property. If that was the case, they should have been annexed a long time ago. So if somebody has changed the use on the property, they may not want to sign another non-annexation agreement because it's going to open up a whole different can of worms for them.
And then if that's the case, then if one person can't re-sign it because they've changed the use, how does that impact the other properties that were?
Well, based on their voluntary petition that they already signed, they're going to get annexed because they changed the use of their project.
Oh, I see.
So that means I'll call up the girl with the beautiful teeth and a missing one in the middle. Somebody's going to be annexed and maybe the rest won't.
Sorry, the public you had your chance to talk earlier, and you cannot contribute or ask questions. I do have a question though, as it is, if we do annex, as we were to extend the annex, and there is an emergency for police or medical or fire services required at one of the properties, what's the protocol?
If they're not annexed?
If they're under the agreement as it is right now, if it were to expire?
We're not going. We don't provide services. If it expires or it goes into a non-annexation, an extended non-annexation agreement, we do not send police or fire or EMS there.
We do not presently.
We don't provide them with water. With trash.
So, with the non-annexation agreement, they do not receive any of the above services.
No, sir.
So their neighbors do, that are annexed in the area, and they do not.
So at this point, let's say, even under the, if you decide not to annex and one of the neighbors decides that they're going to make their property into a pick and pull or a dump site or something of that nature, what is our authority? We have no authority. Everyone out there has to live with what their neighbor does. They can go to the county and try to get it resolved. Remember, county is slightly different than the city, and the city will have no dog in that hunt, and we will not give any assistance to them.
Except if they change their use and turn their homestead into a pick and pull, they're automatically annexed.
Yeah, how about that? And then they fall under the city regulations, and then we let them know that you've been annexed and it's R1 and you have to cease and desist. There's a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Good, there's always a lawsuit.
Yes, sir.
Especially with council.
So,
Mr. Rose had something he wanted to say?
So you asked about services provided. Is there no interlocal with Guadalupe right now? Nothing. So the county is responsible for providing those services, unless y'all have agreed through an interlocal agreement to provide those services.
So that would be Guadalupe County would be required or provide
EMS, fire,
and police,
and it would be the county sheriff, the constable, animal control too. There's a lot of services counties do have to provide.
Ms. Putt?
I'm not leaning one way or the other. I'm just trying to get some questions in my mind. Why go through all of the trouble of a new agreement when they're not living up to the agreement that they've already agreed to? That's, it's like we're talking a lot here about, well, we can do this and this and this, and let's extend them for another 10 years. And I understand what they want, but they've already agreed. I was at that meeting. They've already agreed to it. So why are we jumping through hoops to ask them to agree to something again that we know that they're probably not going to agree to? Just kind of doing common sense here, maybe.
You're speaking to the wrong person.
I'm looking right. I'm just trying to get the words going here and figure it out.
Mr. Ball, you said you had a comment.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm looking at it from a slightly different perspective, and that is within our ETJ essentially lies the air installation compatibility use zones. And basically the 2017 document identifies within these areas essentially agriculture, low-density development, parks, public assembly use, industrial use, commercial use, as a yes and as a strong no with an subscript no, essentially residential use. I remind the council that we are the gateway to Randolph Air Force Base that provides nearly 12,000 jobs to the area, $1.15 billion to our local economy. And as is, Randolph operates well within that T38 corridor that provides APZ zones 1 and 2 within our extra jurisdictional use. And I think to be a good neighbor to Randolph, we should consider that they're happy. Randolph is basically happy with the way things are. Now that said, it's really unclear to me what the city will actually gain by the extraterritorial jurisdiction annexation. Will we gain essentially residents that will use our commercial areas? No, not on the other side of the creek. Where will they go to the emergency services at? Well, they're going to go either to Schertz or 35 to where the hospitals are. So are they going to use our HEB or our own Walmart? Possibly, but they've got more convenient places to go. So I'm bothered actually by the original land swap, given the fact that it's a restricted use area. Now I realize that we have a great relationship with Randolph and the city manager and the mayor essentially can get a modification agreement to be a low density kind of area. But I think the original thought for a land swap was within this area to develop it commercially or industrially and not residentially. I have to fall in favor of the residents too, and also Mr. Goolsby to ask to extend the agreement for another 10-year period. I think that's a reasonable solution at this point in time. Thank you, Mr.
So I see that, I can kind of see where things are falling out. And my question is if we pushed for, the 10 years, is that too strong? Is that too far out? Would a 5-year be more palatable to the council as a whole and staff? Or is it 5, 10? It makes no difference. We're already in for a thousand for 10.
Words mean things. Words mean things.
Yeah, but see, okay, but you're just reading the stuff that's highlighted because Michael's really good at his job. So
I remember the conversation.
If you read the second sentence, this agreement may be renewed. So because Michael is really good at his job, he only highlighted the part that supports the argument to go ahead and do it now.
But I remember making the decision, having the conversation 10 years ago, and why we decided that we would go that route initially, which was due to the ACAs. And making sure that we didn't have everybody come in and put high density residential in the ABZs out there. So we don't have, the Randolph doesn't have to worry about aircraft crashing into high density residential. So I remember that being the initial portion of it. But then as we talked about what it meant as we started an annexation portion, annexation, going in the direction of annexation, we knew that we were going to have to commit funds towards that annexation. And so we did our part and started moving that. But that also, we have residents over there, right, that have property next to them that are not governed, that are right next to them, that are effectively in our ETJ.
As soon as we put one over there, we needed to provide access.
No, I understand that.
We got lucky that we got a couple hundred, but as soon as we had one, we had to provide service.
And now we have a couple hundred that are abutting up to the rest of our ETJ.
I think his point is that those folks might want some additional zoning applied to those properties because they're so close to them, and right now they're not under city zoning.
But there were a lot of people that wanted us to buy property that didn't make sense for the city to buy property and turn it into a park. We don't own that land, right?
No, we don't.
There are homeowners who own their, and I'm sorry, I come because I'm digging my feet in because I have property. And I have fought development, and I have fought stuff. So that's where I dig my feet in, so I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
I'm not here to change your mind. I'm just putting my perspective.
I can't see you.
Can we put uses or use restrictions in the extension to say, if we say we extend it for X number of years and say you can't put the pick and pull as part of that agreement, is that a possibility?
I would not.
Okay.
But you said that they identified the use 10 years ago.
Yes, they identified, each property identified the use of their property.
10 years ago when they
Signed
signed.
and notarized by the property owners.
And so in fact, if anybody has changed said use of property,
It will come to light now.
it will come to light now, and they are annexed then, because they
Yes.
changed the use.
Ostensibly because of an annexation agreement, they should have been annexed, yes. I want to go back to Mr. Rubal's comment about the ACUs and congratulate you on a very good memory. So the only reason we started down this non-annexation process in the first place is when Randolph went through the joint land use study in, I guess it was 2015. They were very concerned about encroachment and uses of vacant property then, and there was a lot more vacant property then, everywhere, in Schertz and in Selma and Universal City in this area. And so they wanted all of us to annex that property so that we had control over it. When we met with our property owners, they did not want to be annexed. And so that's why we offered this non-annexation development agreement, because it protected the property owners for 10 years and it protected JBSA for 10 years. But our surrounding neighbors in Selma and Schertz did the same thing. They annexed their property. So it's not just about Universal City. We talk about Orchard Park, but you have Savannah Park in Savannah. Oh, thank you. Savannah subdivision in Selma. You have all the houses that have been right next to us in the city of Schertz. You have all the stuff that's going to be happening on Maskey Road in Schertz. So I know we're thinking about Universal City and maybe we're thinking about 12 or 13 property owners. But we have a responsibility to everybody else that's already gone out there and developed as well to ensure that this property is controlled in a manner so that it doesn't have detriment on those communities and those subdivisions as well.
But your whole point is that we have the control and we have already had the teeth in there. And that says that if you change anything, you're gonna, it's an automatic annexation. And like, I mean, and you say that that's a fight, but I don't think it's a fight we can lose because we have that agreement with them. So
That covers change of use, but what about, compliance with certain health codes and, they're putting up against, somebody decides to put I know I'm just going to throw random stuff out here, but if, we're going to put a septic system right up, along the back of those houses.
You have state regulations for septic systems. And I haven't met a septic guy yet that'll come to know.
I'm just grabbing something. I'm just saying, there's going to be possibilities that can happen. And it could be a future landowner that owns it.
Does the motion we have on the table start the process of negotiating those, and if negotiation can't happen, or if you find
We're not negotiating anything. We're only extending the
Sure.
current
Okay, these are on
10
turn.
years.
Sorry.
No negotiation.
But you gotta get a signature, right? If they don't sign, they're annexed. Would that be a fair statement? So basically what we're saying is, come to the table and sign the extension, or you're annexed going through. Is that, or if we find that you've changed your use or something along those lines, would our motion cover that, you think? Or no, we need to change the motion?
I think it's most of it, but it would not automatically be annexation. You would have to make that decision in December then, for those that we did not reach an agreement with, or who didn't sign the agreement. Then you have to decide whether to not annex them or annex them.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the motion that we have on the table would start that process to where the second meeting in December would be the final decision. Okay, thank you.
So you want to modify?
Do we?
I do have a question. So Who has all the CCNs for utilities and services?
Universe City
So
does.
what happens if the septic fails? What happens if the water well dries up, which is happening all over the hill country in this area? Who's gonna have to provide services to that property? The city's gonna have to do it, because you'll hold the CCNs, and you're obligated to provide that service. You've already run the lines, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so if you're wanting to negotiate agreements at the same time, extensions to those agreements at the same time, what if you come to find out that somebody has changed language? So you're gonna have to send everybody out there to do inspections on these properties to make sure they're in compliance with the agreements. So you can do it at the same time, but like what we said just a second ago, they've already done this. They've already agreed to the petition, they consented to it at that time. That was 10 years ago. At this point, you're going to be dragging this process out even further, and you might already be obligated in the future to provide city services because you've already run all the markets.
Except that it's on whoever does the development of the property, it's on them to now pull that line in and pay for the installation of that line.
But you still have to allow it. You still have to allow the connection. Let's say they're not in, but then they're not subject to every other ordinance or regulation that you have.
What are we at? If they're paying if they're paying the 300 foot, what's the city on? There's no onus on the city for that. It's all on the homeowner. And I think that homeowner would probably rather dig another 60 feet in their well than to go 200 feet to a city line. That's
possibly. I mean, a well costs what, $20,000, $30,000 to draw?
Depends on the depth.
And can they even get a well under the county regulations?
No.
There's an acreage minimum. There's all kinds of requirements there too. But then you worry about septic failing too, and contamination of wells and groundwater. You've got all those other issues. But if it's under city regulations, they won't be able to do that.
TCEQ regulates both of those.
Oh, I understand.
I mean, they're highly regulated. I have been looking, but I haven't found one sanitarian that'll do stuff off the books. I just haven't been able to find it. So
I've seen it.
okay, I'll get his number from you.
They have it in the county. I've seen it.
I mean, there's 1,000 ways to argue that. What I'm looking for is a way that we can come to an agreement on council without having to go. I mean, would a 5, and ask the question, would a 5-year be more palatable, and would it even be worth it for the city?
Follow through agreement.
Like a 5-year agreement.
So that's the direction I would like. If you want to go through that process, I would like to know what terms to work with them on what kind of duration are you looking to these agreements?
I mean, because what I'm looking for is something that gives somebody the opportunity to say, okay, well, if I'm going to be annexed, I'm out, right? I'm going to do that. I'd like to give them the opportunity to, 5 years, 10 years, whatever is more palatable for council to agree on.
May I make a comment at this time? The last 5 years, a lot of technology changes in our area has come forward. We don't really know what's going to happen in the next 5 years. So if we do go with this concept, I would recommend, and want to use your secretary, 5 years, legal. Would it be possible to put in the contingency there for signature that at the end of 5 years, it's not non-negotiable, it will be annexed?
Well, your contract right now says it's non-negotiable.
Well, actually, it did not.
It said it could be extended.
It could be extended.
Well, yes, it could be extended, but I think you still have to allow for an extension.
What happens if the legislature changes the law?
Well, we have to base it on the new law then.
Well, if the property is sold to somebody else in the next 5 years.
Well, that's covered under the annexation.
No, that's if they change the use. We'll be dealing with different property owners than we are dealing with right now. I have to think about.
I bought it and I didn't know it.
And that's the point. I mean, I'm not, I'm going to use the right, make sure I'm smirching the existing property owners, but we don't know what you're planning on doing with your property in the next 5-10 years. You could decide that you're going to sell it in the next 5 to 10 years, right? We don't know. You can tell us that you're not planning on doing it, but everybody knows things change. It's the only constant that we have in this world. But I have to think about that as a possibility as well.
The last changing gives me pause because it just does. And I will say, up here, one of the things that we have to consider is serving the residents of Universal City, which right now are not this group. And we have spent taxpayer money on making improvements in anticipation of executing this agreement. We're in, what, $3+ million?
Approximately three and a half.
So, you know, I mean, when we talk about representing who we serve and making decisions that are good for them, we definitely need to keep the fiduciary responsibility in mind for that we committed to this, we agreed to this, we've kept our agreement, but we've also spent money keeping that agreement. We've put our money where our mouth is. So that's all I have to say.
Any other discussion?
Do we want to amend it to say 5 years?
I would prefer 10, but I'd be fine with 5 if we were to amend it.
No, I'd like to amend it to 5.
I don't know if we said it in your original one or not.
You did say 10 years in the original of it.
As far as terms go, instead of a definite term, we could do a 2-year or 4-year automatic renewal, or you have the option to extend the city council. If that's the route you want to go.
I'm sorry, would you repeat that?
So as far as the terms, if you want to extend the term of this agreement, it doesn't have to be 10, it doesn't have to be 5. We can do it more along the lines of every 2 or 3 years, and then subject to renewal at the same time. So I just want to know the direction, if that's the direction I want to go. I just want to know what y'all want.
But if we do, we'll be playing this game every 2 years.
Correct.
And doing all the legwork and doing all the investigation.
You could be playing it up to the next 45, or the next 35 years.
So, I mean, it sounds like 5 years might be more palatable. I'd like to amend the motion to be everything but change the 10 to 5.
I'll second that.
But can we make it mandatory?
I think it is. I think what you're missing is you can't make Goolsby say yes in 5 years. They can't say no, but there's not a way to make him say yes, I guess.
Well, and I believe you also can't hamstring a future council by saying it's 5 years or nothing. I think you always have to have in there the clause for a future extension, right? That's what they did 10 years ago for this city council.
You're right.
They gave you an option. If you say 5 years and nothing else, well, I'm sorry, if you're the property owner for here and you've hit the 4.5 year, and then somebody wants to come buy their property because they think they're living in the country and they find out, oh, 6 months later, they're going to be in the city, you're putting them in a bad position and you're putting the city council in a bad position. So you have to think about it a little more holistically.
Very fair,
perhaps.
thank you. Good point.
I'll be curious to see how many properties we end up annexing that change their use.
Well, unfortunately, that is going to have to be a subjective decision of the staff based on what they've done. If they had a house on there and they tore the house down, it's vacant now. It's a vacant piece of property. It's going to have to be a vacant piece of property. If they turned it into a business of some sort, then yeah, then the council's going to have to decide whether you're going to annex them.
I mean, that's what the agreement says. If you change, if I stopped the ranch and cattle business and I opened up a car wash, then go ahead and annex me because I'm breaking the rules of our agreement. This agreement offers the chance for an extension. It doesn't offer the chance to, hey, if you put in a bank or if you put in something that I'm really excited about, well, you know, I'm not going to annex you. But if you do something I don't like, I'm going to annex you. This agreement had a mechanism for us, council, to extend it. And as a property owner, I would have anticipated that if I came into council and said, I don't want to be annexed. I'm in the great state of Texas. We're all about our land. We're all about land ownership. I don't want to be annexed. That I would have anticipated that, okay, we'll give you another 10 years. But that's my glasses. Again, that's my viewpoint. Right? I'm not considering how much the city has spent on this, all these other pieces. But that's just, I mean, that's where I'm at. And I'll get off my soapbox.
One last question. If, under the present agreement, if it's extended as is, if one of the property owners requests water hookup, city water hookup, who pays the hookup?
So that's eventually, I was looking at that a second ago too, because under the current agreement it says the city shall not be obligated to provide the landowner with any municipal services. But because you'll hold the CCNs and you have extended lines out there, we're gonna have to look at revising some of the language of the agreement, because by law you don't have to be required to do that. So, say their septic fails and their well fails.
So the city would have to pay for that to go out there, or would the homeowner pay for the initial charge?
We want to put it on the homeowner. I mean, they're the ones asking to be connected to the city.
So they would pay the fee to connect to the
They
city?
should. That's how it works now, correct?
Okay, that's what I wanted to verify.
Currently how it works.
That's what I wanted to make sure if it were to happen.
But in that event, would you not want them to be annexed at that point? Because then you control what they can do with their land, how it affects the cities.
Then we would have that
Water
option.
system.
We would have the option to go ahead and annex them at that time, because they would.
I would think you'd want to.
Yeah, I agree. That's the question, so we can bring it all out. Mayor Pro Tem.
So I know Michael kind of mentioned a hard stop on, we needed to make a decision in December, the first meeting, is that correct?
Second meeting.
Okay. Do you realistically have enough time? Because I'm willing to offer the opportunity to renegotiate the term with the city inspect. I don't even know if I am, because I hate the whole thing about the laws changing, because I know Texas is changing lots of laws, and I feel uncomfortable risking that, given our financial investment in it already. But, you know, Bear's Point, do you guys have enough time to do the negotiations, to get these signed agreements with everybody, and also do the inspection to make sure that they haven't changed the use? Is that a realistic expectation of the city?
Well, if it's at the will of the council that we do that, we'll have to make it happen. And again, I want to go back, we're not renegotiating anything, we're only extending the term of the contract.
Yes.
No negotiation, extending the term of the contract, the non-annexation development agreement.
And based on the letters here, I don't feel like that's going to be a successful endeavor, because it wasn't about the extent, nobody mentions the extension of time. They mentioned the lack of wanting to be annexed. I mean, that's what this letter
Right, and
tells
they
me.
could come back, whatever your term is, they could come back in 5 years and present the same letters with the same or different property owners. I don't know how many letters in there and how many people signed it. There may be somebody who wants to be annexed. So if in our extension of the term, they say, no, I want the city to annex me, are you prepared to annex them? That's the question for council. If somebody wants to be annexed, are you prepared to annex them?
Sure.
Because remember, if you're a large landowner and you know you've got developers knocking down your door, developers want to be in annexed property because it provides them with the water and the sewer and the protections that they need for their development. So it could be that there's somebody out there that says, no, I don't want an extension, I want to be developed. Maybe there's a small property owner that wants to do something on one of the lands that they have, and the only way they can do that now is through being annexed. Either they have to forego whatever business prospect they have on that property, or they'll have to make a decision whether they're going to leave everything as it is. So it's a tough decision for them as well.
Okay, any other comments? So the motion on the floor is 5-year extension. With a second, call for the vote.
So are we going through the amendment process for the original motion?
If the original person changed the original motion, does that mean it happened?
It's up to the mayor.
The original changed it and accepted last year's.
The original motion was 10. He's amending the original motion to 5.
Okay. Councilmember Goolsby?
Aye.
Councilmember Vaughan?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fitzpatrick?
Nay.
Councilmember Putt?
Nay.
Councilmember Rubal?
Aye.
Councilmember Shelby?
Nay.
Mayor?
You know, I
It's so hard.
I side with Actually, it's really an easy decision. I'm sitting looking at faces out there. I've never seen such determined faces that not wanting to be a citizen of Universal City. So it really and truly doesn't matter which way I go. I'm not going to get your vote, I don't think. The honesty is that I like the proposal on the table of the extension as it is of 5 years. I know a lot of things can happen. I think we may be able to absorb you real fast as you realize that maybe your property is more valuable to someone else with another use, and you may want to sell it, and I think we'll be annexing you somewhere within the next 5 years. So I'm going to side with the yay for the motion.
Motion carried.
Goes. Resolution, annex ordinance and agreements. What would be the policy on that one as far as we go? Any vote?
It's at the will of the council, so as you know, November 4th is an election day. We are an election site. If you decide
E.
I'm sorry.
Item E.
We're going to have to, the resolution,
Oh.
public service agreement, so
Yep.
we're going to have to table this more than likely to December.
Yeah, table this to the December 2nd meeting in December.
Okay, please read it.
This is going to, by the way, this will only pertain to those who say they want to be annexed. They'll have to sign a service agreement so that we are fully aware of what it is we're providing them. If they want to be annexed and they have a current well or a current septic tank, or they have a contract with a waste provider that they already have in place, that will be notified in their particular service agreement so that we can honor that they have. Those are basically the three things that would be negotiable in a service agreement if somebody wants to be annexed.
Yeah, we just want to make sure that our attorney is doing whatever the correct motion is, table it, I believe is the correct motion, so we don't have to renotice for this in December.
Renotice for the public hearing. Is that correct?
I'll check, but I would decide with them. I'll check.
Give us 1 second.
Sure.
While he's doing that, can we go on to the next item?
Item F, moving, canceling November 4 regular meeting.
Move to approval.
Second. To approve what?
To approve which?
What are you approving?
Cancel.
Second.
No, wait, move. I amend my
Okay.
Are we moving or canceling?
We're canceling. Move to cancel.
Okay. Do I have a second?
You'll have it.
Yes,
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Shelby?
Aye.
Councilmember Vaughan?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fitzpatrick?
Aye.
Councilmember Goolsby?
Aye.
Councilmember Putt?
Aye.
Councilmember Rubal?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Mayor, can I just add in, I know there was a lack of discussion, but we thank both of you for your quick action this evening. Between now and that meeting, if the staff is brought to our attention, something that is imminent, that needs to be, we'll get with the mayor.
Quiet,
and
please.
then he can advise the council that in fact, if we have to have the meeting, we'll do it on December 5th. Thank you. All right, where are we on our motions?
That being said,
Oh, no,
No, we're
we're
still
still on
talking.
item E.
We're waiting for it.
oh, I'm sorry.
Language that we need to use so we don't have to renotice.
I thought you were the only one that could draw out the top.
Always the nights I want to get somewhere.
I'm sorry, Lynn.
That's okay.
It's so.
I even have my dress whites are in the car.
Dang it.
It's promotion night.
Well, after that.
Yeah.
Sugar.
Yeah, we'll get that to promotion night. So. That's why I'm all about canceling the next one. I was like, oh, I get tickets for Blues night. But since I have this, I wear white and gray. That's how we get around. That's how we get around the Air Force rules.
Okay.
But I got my mean jeans,
Thank you.
my ground
I'm
teeth,
surprised you didn't.
all my ribbons.
It usually never shows.
I usually have a.
I've never seen you so dressed up.
Allows us to sign the annexation agreement.
We're gonna take a 5-minute recess for bathroom break for the council.
Good call.
You going home? That's perfect.
Yes.
I think that's wonderful. That gives them more.
No, but it's the same.
So I don't think it's very, okay, Mayor,
No, we just have to do one in the restroom real quick. Sorry, we had, we feel overhydrated.
So we do the resolution.
Everybody doesn't.
Yeah, I guess.
Who says the word?
It really doesn't. The state says.
They were wonderful.
Property taxes. But from.
All right, you take the cash box.
We're about to reconvene, please take your seats.
They lose funding. So it's going for private.
Mr. Goolsby.
He had a lot of Mountain Dew.
Yahoo!
Everybody.
Stairs the door.
What's that? But you're.
Oh, about time.
Candy too.
You got candy? Who wants it? Oh. I don't need candy. Here, get somebody in there. There you go, out there.
There you go.
It's gonna be like the parade all over.
Okay, let's reconvene.
Okay. We're ready. We're ready.
Matt, your convenience.
Thank you, sir. So we are recommending that on item 9E, the resolution, that you table that until the second meeting in December.
Move the table until the second meeting in December.
Item E, correct?
E, as an elephant. Yes.
Just consensus on that, right? Or we need a vote?
Would you please do us a favor and vote?
Okay, do I have a motion to table?
Motion to table till the second meeting in December.
Second. Discussion? Vote.
Councilmember Shelby?
Aye.
Councilmember Goolsby? Mayor Pro Tem Fitzpatrick?
Aye.
Councilmember Putt?
Aye.
Councilmember Rubal? Councilmember Vaughan?
Aye.
Motion carried.
8:34, meeting adjourned.
But I had